Hello, everyone. My name's Marian, and I'd like to send you greetings from. All right, that's some music.
Yeah, it's okay. We still have a bit of lag, I think.
Oh, well.
We're quite live, I think.
Thank you, Luca. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Marian. Greetings from Sunny Madrid, and I'll be your host for this exciting episode of the Art and Science of DevOps Coaching. This series is designed to provide Scrum Master, Agile coaches, consultants, and enthusiasts and practitioners with the insights and knowledge needed to further develop their careers into DevOps coaching. Before we get started, we need to go to the housekeeping rule. I want to let you know that everything being said here is recorded, so you'll have the opportunity to revisit the valuable insights here shared today. And additionally, recordings of this session, portions of it may be shared on other platforms to extend the reach of the community. And we have a fantastic lineup of speakers here. They will be sharing their expertise on how to scale DevOps as a coach, and also what approaches are best to scale DevOps in large and complex organizations. However, this event is not just about us here that are visible. It's also about you. We want that to be a very interactive experience, to be a dialogue. So please feel free to ask questions throughout the session. If it's a small case, feel free to bring it up. You can do so by using the comment section to the right of this session. And I strongly encourage you to make it as interactive and participating as possible for you. And of course, as we strongly believe in the power of feedback, we would like to ask you to fill out our satisfaction survey by the end of this session. The link will be shared with you throughout the webinar, the event. And once again, welcome everyone. I'm very happy to have you all here today. I'm looking forward to your active participation. Feel free to network, connect with fellow professionals, connect with us, the three that are present, and feel free to share your insights that you can apply in your professional daily life. And I think it's high time that I welcome our guests. Hi, Dimitri. Hi, Luca.
Hi, Marian.
Hi, Marian.
Let me shortly present you. So we have Dimitri on board. Dimitri is a transformation coach in LVNL. Dimitri, correct me if I pronounce that correctly.
Yeah, you do. It's one of my customers. Yes, correct.
All right, nice. Dimitri is based in Utrecht, and I have the pleasure to welcome you, Dimitri, here as one of my trainers in my own DASA DevOps coaching training.
Well, happy to be with you, as always. It's always fun, you and me. Challenging questions, challenging thoughts, insights. So yeah, you always make me think. So thank you for that one to start.
Cheers. Thank you, Dimitri. And we have you, Luca, DevOps consultant, trainer, and coach at Vempio, based in Munich, Bavaria. And same, I have the pleasure to welcome you as one of my trainings in the DASA DevOps product owner training. So happy to have you on board.
Yeah, that's true, right? That's how we met initially. Well, thanks for having me. I remember this training very well, and actually, I think to this day it's my favorite training. And I'm not just saying this to flatter you, but it was just there was just something about it.
We had our fun back in the days, right? And we had another participant thought to join us, Sebastian, and Sebastian was very, very true to the first principle of DASA, of DevOps, which is customer-centric action. And he chose to be there for his customers, fortunately for them, unfortunately for us. So we will have to postpone his participation to a session in the near future. So I will start. Let's start. And let's kick it off with some nice discussion. And again, I invite all the participants to post their questions in the chat. All right. So coming to the actual topic, scaling DevOps for large and complex organizations. In my mind, one of the first steps is building a case for scaling DevOps to ensure a buy-in from top management. And let's start with how you actually do that. So as a DevOps/Agile coach, how have you approached building a compelling case for scaling DevOps in your customer organizations that you have worked with? Luca, maybe you would want to give it a try.
Sure. So, of course, the famous advice about scaling agility or scaling DevOps is don't. But the reality is that you can't really avoid it, right? In a perfect world, you would have a number of agile teams independently working alongside one another, having no dependencies, no nothing. That would be sort of the ideal world, right? Then you wouldn't need scaling. You could just have a million teams sitting merrily alongside one another doing their thing. But this is not how it works, is it? In reality, you do have dependencies. You do have a need to align, to communicate, to build an actual coherent product. And this is where the need for scaling comes from, isn't it? And so I think the most important aspect of scaling is to realize what needs to be scaled, why does it need to be scaled, and then you can answer the question of, well, how am I actually going to go about it? How am I going to structure my teams? How am I going to structure the interactions between the teams, between the persons? What kind of guidelines do I need, right? Dimitri, does that fit your perspective as well?
It totally fits. If you have no clue why are you even doing DevOps? Oh, just because others do it, you jump off that mountain. It's not said that I will, or that it's good for me, right? Because I may not be a real good climber and faller, maybe a good climber but not faller, right? Down a mountain. So that's the first thing, the why. Why are we, first of all, doing anything like DevOps? That's the first step. If we can't answer the why, then there's no change to be built, to be done. I don't want to talk about implementing, because I don't think we can implement a change. It is something that needs to grow, because it's all around, when you scale, first of all, the why. The second is it's all about dependencies. And when you find your dependencies, when you scale, and is a bottleneck. Other question, it's all about ownership. So if there's more than one person, you're already scaling effectively. Now, when we look at a teaming perspective, typical team sizes, where do they come from? Why is this 5 plus or minus 2 when, we speak about Scrum, up to 9, something maybe? Well, there is some psychology behind that. It's about trust. It's about mutual understanding. It is about basically almost knowing what the other will think to be truly fast. Going back, you do need to understand your product. You do need to understand why are you doing this. Otherwise, there's no case to build. No why, no case. The second question is, why do we need a case? Actually, like a business case. If there's money, if the customer has a budget to give to me to go and write a business case, why don't we apply the thinking of a learning organization and a flow and starting small without scaling, starting small and show the benefit empirically, truly show it with a small team and show what it can be. And also find out, learn, here we go, 3 ways, right? Learn what it takes in that organization to build, first of all, a team, increase its interdependence. Independence doesn't exist. Full autonomy doesn't exist, because our organizations are complex and interdependent social systems. So build the case in the sense of showing that it works, that there's true benefit, measurable benefit. An experiment,
right.
maybe?
Why not? I hear out some very good points of advice. Start with your purpose, right? Start with why. Build the trust. Start with a pilot, maybe a team, an experiment. Increase independence and autonomy within the feasible premises of your organization, right? But I'm checking the questions, and already we have a a very interesting question. Thank you, Brad, for that. Can you clarify what is meant by scaling in this context? What is being scaled? Is it being scaled up, down, both, something else? So let me answer that first. As a host, I should know what I invited for, right? It helps. And feel free to add more. So when I say scaling DevOps, to me it refers to expanding and adapting DevOps practices, principles, tools, culture to meet the needs of more than one team, be it a department, be it various departments, or maybe even the whole organization. It involves various teams either working in DevOps or aspiring to work in DevOps to deliver a common goal. And goal could be, for me, a product, could be bundles of product that the customer perceives as the same experience. And that's in my own thinking out loud. This is what I understand by scaling DevOps. What do you think, guys?
Luca,
am I right?
want to give it a
Am
go?
I far away from the truth? Feel free to let me know.
Let's see.
Yeah, as I said initially, what are we scaling? I think we are scaling our ways of collaborating towards a shared goal, right? Towards a product that we jointly create. In an ideal world, we wouldn't need to scale. Each team would be perfectly independent and autonomous. But the perfect world just exists in books, I guess. So when we do have a need to coordinate, to deal with dependencies, then the question becomes, how do we do this? And this is when the question of scaling becomes important. And so I guess, Brad, to answer your question, what do we mean by up? What do we mean by out? I don't think it really matters. What matters is that there are multiple groups of people, or many people that need to work together towards a shared goal, and we need to find ways of making that as easy as we can for them. That would be my definition of scaling.
All right.
Well, it's a simple one. As soon as there's more than one person, that is said, one set of skills, ability to deliver the change, the product increment, the service, the value, then we're scaling if you can't do it alone. At that moment, we start scaling. First, we scale within a team, and then we need to think about, what actually comprises of a team? When do we need more teams? Let's apply a Mies principle, mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. Flächendeckend in German, right? Do we cover what we need to cover and no more than that without doubles? And then can we split that up in a manageable way, understandable way? Actually, look at what the guys in team topologies wrote. It's a key one. It's all about cognitive load. That's when you start scaling. Is there a cognitive load that team can handle in their head? When the answer is yes, they can handle that, no need to scale, i.e. as in more than one team. But at the moment that cognitive load goes above what that team can handle, you do need to split. And then you need to collaborate and scale. Now, on the one scaling out, that's an interesting one. That's a very interesting one in the question. Do we want to scale out complexity? Can we simplify our product? Can we simplify our process? Can we automate parts of that process such that the cognitive load on the team is reduced? That's what I think of when I see scaling out. Complexity out,
Right.
maybe into a sub-team, and can we handle this at a speed that the customer needs?
All right. I agree. I would also add prioritize, right? So maybe it's simply a question of living it out. Neither simplify nor automate. Just realize maybe that's not our priority right now. Let us nail down further the definition. One of my other former trainers, no pressure for me here, Darryl Sherborne, asked us, so does DevOps, scaling DevOps, does it mean also biz DevOps and DevSecOps and data ops? So are these new terms referring to some kind of scaling, Luca?
No. I mean, this is just including more concerns into, or actually, no, not adding more concerns. They should have been concerns all along, but sort of explicitly calling out certain concerns.
Name it, right?
Exactly. That have been important all along, and they are important for a single person. They are important for a single team, and obviously, yes, they're also important for a multitude of teams working together and scaling. But no, those are entirely separate concerns as far as as my opinion goes.
Unseparable, you mean? Unseparable concerns? Or what do you mean?
No, I mean it's independent of the matter of scaling. Like those are concerns you must take into account whenever you are creating products. Isn't that right, Dimitri?
From the outside in view, the customer's view, what's the whole product they are getting? And what levels of independencies and specializations may we need? Maybe, as per Darryl's question, there is a specialized data ops team because it's too complex for a set of other teams to handle that within their setting. Again, back to that complexity and cognitive load. The cognitive load is, to me, key for separating out in different teams. And that, at the same time, increases collaboration needs. So we need to think about, once we scale, what is it and how do we deliver? And how do we interact between teams? The inter-team interaction, how is that being done? In one of my assignments, I'm looking at the enterprise architecture team. Well, where should that sit? How should they relate to, let's say, delivery teams? Are they enabling? So they are enabling with tools, technologies, means, standards, principles, and guidelines. And therefore, they are facilitating learning, increasing their autonomy. Yet, all together, doing architecture in the same way, bringing the enterprise architecture to life, which is effectively the system itself, the set of products that we're having. So we need to think, what is it that they produce, and how do they interact within the team as well as across teams? And if we can't fix that and get that clear, we are bound for trouble. There will be gaps or overlaps. And we do need, back to my, how do you start? A case, the perfect world, this is how it's going to be. It's all assumptions, and everything that we haven't given to an end user remains an untested hypothesis. And in this case, anything that we haven't done in real, in an experiment, is a hypothesis. So that case also is an hypothesis until we've done it in real and learned from it. Then we've given that product the organizational design that's part of that case and the change. Until we've given that to the organization, it is an hypothesis. And we do need to learn what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. How do we include people? Inclusion, diversity, belonging. How does that work? We need to interact with each other. Management has a key position in that. You cannot say, you guys need to change, and I can stay the same. It doesn't work.
Right.
Beautiful book, by the way, written by Arend Ardon, originally in Dutch, now available in English. Break the Circle. Recommendation to read. Break the Circle. I have it in Dutch somewhere here. But it shows the need for management, leadership. Actually, we manage things, Grasshopper, right? And we lead people. So for people leadership, they need to change. They're a big part of the why. When we look at social technical theory. Well, I want to call it social technical practice because it's reality now. It's not theory anymore. It's back from it started in the 50s already, 70s. Two sides: the medium term and the longer term. Medium term, work structures, systems, procedures, and technology. Medium term, what defines the complexity of an organization. Longer term, people, culture, and goals. That's what we need to look at.
Right.
And people and culture change takes quite some time. In case you want to learn a little bit about it, would recommend to read the Team Topologies book, nice, concisely done, and Craig Larman's Observations of Organizational Behavior, for those who don't know them yet. They're beautifully written, very applicable, and very recognizable. Again, Craig Larman's.
Thank you, Dimitri, for the great recommendations. Right. So now we've defined what is scaling DevOps. No question on what is a large and complex organizations. We figured all our participants don't live in an ideal world. They've all faced these large and complex organizations. And we've also checked buy-in from management, right? This is one of the topics we've started at. But now in practical terms, what shall we do with skeptical managers? Can you share a story, either where you've managed to move them as a coach towards experimenting, or maybe it was a fail fast, learn on and move. Fail fast, learn and move on kind of lesson. Have you had any experience, Luca? Skeptical managers. Have you seen one of them recently?
One? Yeah, I think the challenge is sort of twofold. You get actual skeptical managers who have understood the matter and remain unconvinced, rightly or wrongly. But also you get a lot of people who don't quite understand the matter at hand, or don't feel that it applies to them, and are surprised when all of a sudden, Dimitri or Luca or somebody else shows up at their doorstep and says, you know what, we've got this fancy new thing here. How about some transformation? And of course, that doesn't go well. If you've got somebody who's a skeptic, they are skeptical for a reason, right? You need to discover what the reason behind that is. And you need to give them a reason to leave their skepticism behind. I'm a big fan of allowing people to be egoistical here and say, yeah, okay, what's in it for me? Why should I care? What is the point for me, quite personally, of embarking on any kind of change, any kind of transformation? And if I can't answer that question, then then maybe this is actually a stupid transformation and I shouldn't be doing it. But yeah, stories. One of the biggest dangers I feel of any kind of transformation is that you underestimate just how large the scope is. People think that they can transform their IT department to a scaled DevOps way of working, or whatever it is. And then they realize, oh no, actually, now that I've changed the way my IT department works, that means that it presents very differently on the outside. And the entire rest of the organization can't quite understand what is this entity that I'm working with? How do I interact with my own department? How do my customers still interact with me? So I guess most of my war stories in that sense revolve around people discovering that the boundaries are actually way further out than they expected. And so that would also be my big advice to anyone, to not underestimate just how profound the change, or how far-reaching, I suppose, this change will be.
Right, Dimitri. Smiling.
I hear skepticism, and I think people. Me and my business partner Luigi, we speak a lot about the psychology behind the change. Change is all about people. It's all about where does this come from? Or he can speak about it far better. He's far better qualified on that matter than I am. But it's all around, why would I resist this? Why would I be skeptical? Where does that come from? And we need to start to consider looking at that, not only from the head, writing a business case, rationalization of emotions, because in the end, it's only to rationalize, objectivize any decision we're going to take, but it's the head, the heart, and the gut. And we need to ask ourselves and open up to why this person, it's a human being. And it's not only their employees that are human beings and may resist change. Our colleagues in leadership positions are human beings as well. And we need to think about that. There's no them and us. There's we humans. We're a social system. And also they undergo a change, wanted or unwanted. Maybe they are not able to handle that change. Maybe they are afraid of losing their job. Maybe they've reached their cognitive maximum and just don't understand it, but don't know how to express it. We need to really understand the person behind the face if there's a skeptical manager. And it's not only the CEO who may be skeptical, right? Because let's go all the way up to the CEO. So when is he going to say yes? Yeah, let's do this. In one of the trainings that I did, Marian, were you in that one? No, I don't think so. It was with what was the guy? A French guy, lives in Thailand.
Can't
What his
remember.
name? He brought.
Wasn't there.
I was teaching the DevOps coach class, and he said, "Guys, I'm having this problem, this situation. My customer, retailer, the lower level, they know they need to do this. So how am I going to get this done? Well, senior management will only say yes when middle management buys in. No other chance. So you need to go what we then called middle in, up, down. So middle in, up, down.
All right.
And you better find your future CEO. That's what he found when he uncovered, wait a second, in that middle layer, there is the successor to the CEO already. And when is he going to succeed him? Oh, in about a year or two. Maybe you should start to talk to him now. And he's just a key sponsor to help you with that middle layer, because he would then be shaping his future. So he has a personal benefit out of a change, a personal interest in it working well. Why not? So there's people behind skepticism. There is fear.
Right.
The good old amygdala. Maybe, I don't know. Jack?
All right. Well, my few cents on that. Dealing
Can
with
I quickly
skepticism.
take Brad's question? Middle in,
Sure.
up, down.
Go on.
Is that different from outside in? I'm not really sure what you mean with outside in, but if it's outside from the organization, in, right? Yes, then it is. Because one thing is, you cannot change the organization from the outside. Only I can change me. So as a change agent, you need to rally up this majority in middle management for them to understand that it's their change, their collective change that they need to do. So it's not meant as outside in, from outside I go and help you change. They need to change. They need to figure out what their change is. Otherwise, there's no ownership to the change, and it's only going to be a mechanistic plan. You cannot implement the change. Like, let's plan. Next Monday, you've changed your behavior. What? Doesn't work, huh? Brad, does that answer your question? We'll see if Brad comes up.
Let's see, right. In the meantime, my few cents on that is, I had a customer from Israel a few years ago, where for some reason the term DevOps was burned. I don't know what happened, but they got very nervous and a bit of a threat-headed when I call it DevOps, right? So figured out with them, one way with dealing skepticism is just do it without really calling it out names, right? So we're going to practice, we're going to learn, we're going to have workshops, we're going to experiment. We just don't call it a DevOps transformation, we call it a journey. And another aspect that I faced with skepticism is that we Agile coaches need a bit of pre-sales guts to deal with skepticism, right? So not block ourselves in front of resistance/rejection, but think of discovery questions, powerful questions that will actually move on the talk in further direction, in a positive direction. So one classic example I have from in my day-to-day is, look, it's all nice and shiny on your business case, but nothing gets funded without the complete numbers, without the complete financials. So what typically works there is to say, all right, fine, let's do the complete financials with the complete planning, but narrow down the scope and also the timeline. Let's do an experiment for 3 months and see where this gets us. So we reduce risk. Right. So if we think 12 months, 3 months, that's reducing the risk by what, 75% roughly. So yeah, hope that helps. All right. I think we've talked about enough about management and leaders. We'll for sure come back there. But what about if we now focus on teams, right? So that there is being a bit of discussion going on in parallel in the chat, and I love that, about teams, organizational design, team design, right? So when we scale DevOps, right, and we think about teams, what approaches would you use for team design and also building efficiency across teams? Luca, would you like to give it a try?
Sure. So, of course, Dimitri already quite rightly mentioned this book, Team Topologies, quite a few times, which I think presents a really good explanation of how to understand what to do about teams and team structures. Because it enables you to have some kind of a coordinate system and understand what kind of needs am I looking at? Communications needs, interaction needs, collaboration needs, and are they being met? So I think it can be very, very helpful to just look at the communication patterns that you actually observe within your organization. We all know this, right? There's the official org chart, and then there's what might be called the shadow org chart of people who know one another and have each other's phone numbers so that they can get their job done. So there you've got a signal that the official organization in some ways is lacking and could do with some improvement. And so that kind of thing is just very, very valuable, frankly, in general. Just take a step back and just observe. And most of the time, the problems and the solutions will actually slap you in the face. You just need to actually stop and look and listen. So that is the one thing. And the other thing that I think is very important is to realize that you need to apply agility to agility. You need to continuously sort of observe what's happening in your organization and readjust depending on what you find. And what you find will change. Like it's not going to be static. And I find this, frankly, immensely liberating because you're not condemned to get it right the first time. it's fine. You make a couple of changes to your organization. You see how well it fits. And then you tweak it according to what you observe. Maybe you did right, maybe you didn't. But you will iterate your way to a better organization. And of course, you will never be finished because the needs of the organization will change over time.
Right. Observe. And I love apply agility to agility. I'm going to note that down. Dimitri, what's your take on this?
Can we go back to the original question? Because I think I may have lost it.
Sure. So when thinking or when approaching scaling DevOps, what practices would you recommend for team design and building efficiency also across teams, right? So on the level above teams.
Okay, cool. The efficiency across teams. You know what? Daryl, Kaizen. Daryl's here. Taught a class with him. Oh, you were there, right? It's all about continuous improvement. And don't think you can get perfection done right away. Yeah, the key thing is, first of all, start small, keep it simple. That's one thing. And learn and get the organization to learn. It's not about me learning. They need to learn. They need to start to change their behavior in the continuous improvement thinking, but also in taking ownership, being clear about accountabilities and mandate. And that may be very difficult for organizations. Wait a second, that has changed. How about mandate? But who am I? A command and control situation, right? Somewhere. So I would always recommend to start small. I use experiment as the term, not pilot or something like that, but experiment, because experiments are non-threatening. Let's experiment. Let's try out. Let's learn. Small in the area. Little booklet, lean change management. Do an experiment, right? Another key thing when we're looking at taking steps is, here we go again, Toyota Kata, but then my brother's book, Learning to See. As Luca's already saying,
Love the book recommendations.
It's in your face. I have customers, they're right in front of it, and they don't even see it. They don't even see it. It hurts, and they don't even feel it. And they keep doing what they did before. Guess what? When you keep doing what you did before, you keep getting what you got before. So you need to learn to see and go like, what am I seeing here? Watching is not enough. You need to see. Same as hearing and listening. You truly need to start to listen to people, what they are saying, and take it for real. Many organizations that are now moving into, let's say, agile or DevOps, team-based approaches, they are still scientific management, Taylorism organizations, functional, top-down. And they need to move to something like that. The role of management changes at all levels. Actually, what is the role of management? Well, that's an interesting question. In my, Robert may know.
How dare you question it?
Sorry?
How dare you question it?
Oh, Robert, I know. The role of management actually is to build an awesome problem-solving machine of teams.
All right. Nice.
The role of management, their purpose, their thingy, is to build an awesome problem-solving machine of teams. That's the organization. And they don't have all the answers. They don't even have all the questions. But they need to get those teams to be really good at problem-solving. Well, better said, they need those teams to be really good at understanding problems. And here we also go. There's a beautiful saying in this book from Arend Ardon in Dutch: ingrijpen voor begrijpen. So,
translate, please.
I'm going to translate. We are already intervening before we've properly understood. Seek to understand first. Seek to understand first. Then uncover, because it's there, the solution is there, only it's covered up. Right? Take the cover off. It's there. But seek to understand first. before we go and do an intervention. Man, if you've not been in there, how do you truly know what has happened? Only the people in the teams are truly knowledgeable of what has happened and what should be done. And that's a big change. Yeah. You need to, indeed, that's the one, Brad, learning to see. And this is from my original background. I do not have an original background in IT. I have a background in supply chain management. And more precisely so in production logistics and systems. How do you organize for flow? And here we go. Let's skip the word DevOps. It's been stolen now by big tech marketing. You know, get people like, you're a DevOps engineer. You haven't understood yet, right? We are organizing for flow.
Right.
And organizing for flow, in that what we're working on now is about lean in production, you know, whether it's Coca-Cola cans or cars or software. It's value that we give in the hand of a customer. We're organizing for flow. And we need to look at flow efficiency. And that's very opposed to the classical scientific view of what? Resource utilization. Hey! Classically, resource utilization. Great, go sit on your hands. But when that function is not there, the belt stops. Yeah? So organizing for flow is always fighting with resource utilization. For, again, another book. You're interested? You want Dimi's bookshelf? Here we go.
Please.
Cesario's book, recently published, Creating Agile Organizations, Systemic Approach.
Creating Agile Organization.
Cesario Ramos. Cesario and I
down.
work together in a large-scale Scrum environment. Go think about it. But it's about organizing for flow. Mick Kirsten's book, Project to Product. Another one.
Yes,
Project
classic one. Classic.
Yeah. That's all right. Flow. Flow of value.
Love it. Nice. I love the recommendations for our listeners, for our viewers. But also in terms of hands-on experience, Luca, you're quite the trainer. I've done with a few trainings with you and some others that I haven't. And there is one without any faking curiosity, but I've never done enable and scale. Is that relevant here? Is enable and scale actually dealing with DevOps scaling within teams, or if not, what is its scope?
Well, enable and scale, the training itself is more focused on the team level. But of course, it does give pointers to how to go past the team level. If you're looking at an actual DASA product that deals with scaling, there's a scaling workshop, which is quite interesting in that it compares and contrasts, I think, 8 different scaling frameworks. You know, less and safe, and I don't know, flight levels and whatever they all are.
You pick your favorite one, right? This is how it goes.
Exactly, and the point is, which one is actually suitable for you? Which one is actually valuable for you? And that is I feel like that's a question that is almost never asked. People say, "Oh, we need to scale. We're going to pick this safe, for example." And so you go with safe, regardless of whether that actually fits the needs of your organization, the skill sets of your organization. And so I think if you're talking about specific products I would recommend, I think this workshop would be an awesome starting point, because it really enables you to start thinking in terms of, just like Dimitri said at the outset, what is the actual goal? What is the point of you wanting to scale, and how might you best get started in that direction? And then we go back to applying agility to agility. You just iterate on your organization and you keep getting better and better.
All right.
And that ability, actually, it's all about developing an ability, the ability to respond as an organization, bodily.
Yeah.
I've seen a comment somewhere
Responsive,
like seeing, listening, our whole body activities, right? But actually, responding to is also a whole body, the organization as a whole body, to respond. And here become real world challenges, which is the position of HR and relationship with employee bodies and labor law. Can you simply change? How quickly can you do that? Do I need what's that? And maybe one of the other Dutch guys on here, Robert, you can help me. The ondernemingsraad, so the employee council. That's it. Employee council.
Workers' council.
Do they have to have a say in a change of the organization? And how long is that going to take? Do they understand? It's not so. Not only management, it's everybody, including an employee council. And how quickly can you adjust?
Right.
What has been agreed there? What's your harness as an organization in order to change? And as a team, how quickly can somebody change teams? I don't know. Depends on the organization. That my current customer, where I spend most of my time, it's a governmental, semi-governmental organization, air traffic control. And no, not really easy to change. All kinds of labor law and regulations in place. So what do? How can you still do something? Here we go. Start small. Very small experiments.
All right. See your point.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So now in my head, we've clarified a bit. We gave some points, some recommendations where to start with your team design, and then also how to go further beyond the team level. And what I've experienced now is that teams start to collaborate, and we involve more and more people, be it from DevOps or other profiles that we need for our cross-functional teams. And there starts to be a certain conflict in the way of collaborating on the technology level. So we figure out different teams use different technology, different tools, different software, and maybe the software is either not integrated or needs some manual steps in between with some quick and dirty solutions that were implemented 15 years ago and were never touched again because it somehow works even though it costs us hours. What is your recommendation here on finding the balance between empowering team to keep what they consider feasible for their tools, for their way of working in terms of technology, and also maintaining standardizations within the DevOps value stream? Luca, I'd like to challenge you with that one.
Well, once more, I think the question is going to be why did they feel the need to build their own team internal solution? Was it just because there was no central solution around that they could just hook into, or do they truly have very specific needs? And depending on what the answer is, you can say, well, fine, you have very specific needs. Why don't you keep using your very specific thing? Or you can say, well, good news, you don't actually need to bother with this solution that you built anymore because we've got a company-wide or value stream-wide or however you want to slice it, solution that you may use. Of course, some people will be disappointed to get their toys taken away. So yet again, we're in this, and Marian is laughing, but this is serious. I've experienced this before. Somebody came and said, "Luca, you don't actually need to tinker with your pipeline anymore."
I laugh because I live through it every day.
Yeah, I like tinkering with the pipeline. Please leave me my pipeline. No, but seriously, I think most engineers that I've ever met are just very, very pragmatic and open people. They, if you meet them on level ground and say, well, how can we make sure that your needs are best met by either leaving you your thing or by removing this responsibility for you, then you'll be fine. And I might actually be a bit of a special case in the sense that quite a few of my clients are from the embedded systems industry. So they do, in fact, have rather particular needs on their pipeline. They can't just go like maybe on the cloud, because maybe part of the thing that they're building is actually, as big as a closet and sits over there in the corner. And if you have a pipeline that contains such a thing, then your pipeline will be a little special, and that's okay. And then you will need to deal with that. But I suspect Dimitri will agree with me on that. All the usual caveats apply, right? Whether you're changing organization or technical approaches, you need to take people into account, because systems are made of people. And then you deal with that in a human and open and agile way, and you iterate your way towards greater success.
Yeah. So it's a matter of perspectives. There's an economic perspective. There may be a security perspective.
Important.
There may be a personal preference. There may be a cost of knowledge. Cost of knowledge. Let's say the tool is a repository, right? What do we use, right? Which one do we use? Well, the market standard, people come in having that knowledge. Why would I want to use a special one? Cost of knowledge of that special repo would be high, because anybody joining requires a longer time to understand and work with it. So why are we doing it? Are we looking at the different perspectives of that choice? Now, I'm not technical, so you shouldn't ask me personally for which one to use. I'm a coach. I would want to have the subject on the table, and first of all, the team to get to a common understanding of the situation for that particular case. And then we need to look at the wider organization. How does that fit in there? And even their, let's say, line management, line leadership, they should not be truly qualified. The question becomes, what is their role? Building the awesome problem-solving machine called a team organization, right? Not to know all the tools. And if all the carpenters have different hammers and saws, that's totally fine with me. Until we get into a buying position and want to buy many hammers from Stanley or whomever provider, right? So it's an economic decision at that moment in time. On how to change it, aren't these, let's stick to the IT world, software engineers, software developers, infrastructure engineers, aren't they personas and users, customers of a team that provides tools as well? And that's not a thought typically chosen. No, we're a special breed. No. You are a user, dude. You are a user. Like I'm a user of bottles. I'm a drinker, well, water then in this case, right? So we need also, from that, we need to understand our position. I want my own tools. Why? Do you also pick your own chairs? No, I don't. So why tools?
Yeah.
And again, it's this, as Luca said, it is this people affect technology, technology affects people, and we need to think about sub-optimization. Sub-optimization, not optimization, sub-optimization jointly. Because there can only be an optimal when there's a part that is suboptimal. And if we say, I have the freedom to choose for that one, great, go ahead. For the organization, suboptimal, but for the whole, optimal. Right?
Cool. Thank you. We have the last 5 minutes, and I have one last questions on my end, and maybe one last questions from the audience. We have time, but before that, I would like to remind you all to fill out the survey. By now, you must have got some impression from our talk, so please provide your valuable feedback via the survey link. That would be much appreciated to improve for the future. And here goes my last question, and it's a bit of improvisation, but would you like to share a messed up story that is, of course, still ethically correct with our audience? Something that went wrong? Please keep it, again, ethically and politically correct. Luca, do you have a recent one in mind that you would like to share?
Yeah, maybe one thing that I came across a while ago, which was to scale an organization to the point that it feels like it's stopped being an organization.
What should it become then?
A bunch of unconnected teams kind of doing their own thing. And certainly the thing that they did was not building a coherent product. So that was a very strange experience. I think at the heart of the matter was that the organization as a whole was unclear of its direction, and of course unclear of why it would even want to embark on some kind of a agile scale transformation. And correspondingly, everybody did their best, but they didn't actually do it in a concerted way. And so the entire organization kind of became different cliques of confusion and infighting and trying to figure out how to build a coherent product. They just made it a lot harder for themselves than it ought to have been. So I guess the lesson here is, and I have suspicion that Dimitri will have quite similar lessons, that really there must be a tremendous clarity to what your situation is, what your goal is, and what attempts you're going to make to get there, and how you're going to judge how well you're doing and how to change your approach. Because let's face it, you're going to do better in some aspects and worse in others, and you will want to reassess and improve. And once more, apply agility to agility.
Very recognizable.
Dimitri.
Famous last words. Assuming that when somebody uses terminology, that they actually mean the same as you do with that terminology.
Very relevant.
We do Scrum. I've been in a presentation by somebody. We do Scrum by the book. Great. Cool, man. Lovely. Simple question. We could have assumed that that's the case, right? You can also say, with humble inquiry at Shine, simple question, who's your Scrum Master? By the book. We don't have one.
Good point.
Beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful. Oh, no, even today, someone says, no, I'm an infra DevOps engineer. So, what's that? What the heck is that? Okay, I'm aware, but what I see around me is that we use terminology when we talk. We think that we know what the other one is thinking. I know my dad, Paul, for quite some time. I'm a youngster, right? No. But I don't even want to pretend to know what he's thinking. I want to check. And I know him quite well. But still, what I see, we use words, we use terminology, and do we truly understand and do we live it?
Right. Be careful with wording, right? Pay attention, active listening, observing.
I've seen
All
7 Habits, passing by. Brad, thank you, good one. Seek to understand. What do you mean?
Sure.
And it doesn't need to be what I understand as X. I don't care. It's your agenda. I'm here for you, not you for me. The role of the coach.
Right. All right. Thank you, Dimitri. I love that talk. Unfortunately, I'll have to wrap it up for the means of punctuality. I'm really sorry. I have plenty of more questions and also a lot of motivation to keep talking with you guys, but for the respect of our viewers, again, remind you guys, please keep the survey in mind. Please fill it out. This recording will be shared with you in a few days. It was my pleasure to have you here and to have this interactive discussion over chat and answer your questions. And feel free to join us to our next topic. That's product-oriented DevOps, coaching teams to deliver exceptional products, for our session in July, on July 20th. And again, warm thank you, Luca and Dimitri, for this great session.
Yeah, and if Luca, everybody can reach you on LinkedIn, I think, right? If they want to continue the conversation.
Yeah.
Same with me.
Please do so. Feel free to reach us.
Dimitri, thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. Marian, thanks for inviting me.
Wish you all a great afternoon, a great day ahead, or a great evening, depend where you are.
Bye, see you all.
Bye-bye, guys. See you next time.